Thank you.
Okay, I call this meeting to order at 3:11 p.m. May we have roll call, please?
Yes, Chair Gish. Aurora Black,
Here.
Kendra Garcia,
She will be present soon.
Chair Gish,
Here.
Pam Parfit,
Present.
Angelique Montoya Chavez,
Is excused.
Miriam Jahar,
Present.
Eli Fresquez,
Present.
and Mr. Chris Pommier.
Is excused.
Okay, Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Next is approval of the agenda. Are there any changes or amendments needed to the agenda? If there are no changes or amendments to the agenda, may we have a vote to approve the agenda as it is? Go ahead,
Move
Aurora.
to approve the agenda. That's Aurora.
Is there a second?
I second. This is Eli.
Okay, before we do a roll call vote, I do want to say that the city legal department did have us change the caption on one of the items. It had to do with the discussion on the ADA, the city's website, and so on and so forth. They shortened the caption. And so that's why the change was made on the website with the agenda, and the link did not come through correctly. I can pull it up.
I think we're all good. We just approved the agenda. I think we're
Okay.
ready to go.
Okay, so approval of the June 7th Mayor's Committee on Disability agenda. Aurora Black,
Yes.
Chair Gish,
Yes.
Pam Parfit,
Yes.
Miriam Jarhar,
Yes.
Eli Fresquez.
Yes.
Okay, agenda is approved.
Thank you.
Chair, for some reason we can't hear you. I don't know what's happening. Chair Gish, we can't hear you. That's really
Change
weird.
that.
Oh, there we go. That's
There
better.
you go.
And I'm getting notice that my internet connection is unstable. So if you can't hear me or anything weird happens, please let me know. Are there any other edits or amendments to the minutes or transcript?
One thing I noticed was this is page 31 of the packet. Under Pam Parfit's segment, it says line 3 and AND accessible. It should be inaccessible. So I think since I think you said that was a Word document, the actual transcript, maybe do a search for AND
Okay.
space accessible, just to make sure, because that's real important.
Okay.
And then on page 43, Kathleen is speaking, line 2. It says purchase a paid, and it should be participate. Oh yeah. And then
Good job.
page 15, line 2, it says 30 space 3. It should be 33. On page 12, under Aurora Black, line 3, there's an unknown term. The unknown term is Genoveva. It's Genoveva. Genoveva in English. It's part of the name of a center. There were numerous little tiny words that are wrong, but the meaning is generally clear. So that's what I had.
Okay.
Thank you, Aurora. I appreciate that very much. Are there any other edits or notations of things that are needing to be edited or changed? If there are no further amendments to the minutes and transcript beyond excusing Miriam and then the 4 edits that were identified by Aurora, may we have a motion to approve the minutes and transcript as amended?
Move to approve the agenda, the minutes and transcript as amended.
I second to approve.
Okay, approval of the May 3rd, 2023 Mayor's Committee on Disability minutes with the 4 edits. Roll call vote, Aurora Black,
Yes.
Chair Gish,
Yes.
Pam Parfit,
Yes.
Miriam Jahar,
Yes.
Eli Fresquez.
Yes.
Okay. Motion is approved.
Thank you. Next is public comments. Are there any public comments on the website or from anyone attending, commenting on behalf of someone who can't attend or trying to attend?
There were no, Chair Gish, there were no public comments on the website.
Okay, thank you. Miriam, can you mute your because I'm getting feedback. Can you mute yourself?
Oh, sure. Hold on a second.
Thank you. Thank you, Miriam. So there's no public comments that you can see?
No.
If no one has any public comments on behalf of anyone or anyone attending, then we will move on to presentations. We have a presentation it's item 6A, updates on Cities of Santa Fe acquisition and proposed training to use and utilize ADA kits during emergencies and community events. And this is Brian Williams, Emergency Management Director, and Eli Fresquez. If you're ready, go ahead.
So good afternoon, Chair Gish, members of the committee. Thank you for inviting me. I'm pleased to be here and answer any questions you might have. Eli, did you have any comment?
I was just going to give a brief introduction real quick, Brian, about the kits. These kits are items that have been used across the country for disasters and emergencies. And they do a whole bunch of things, but primarily they provide for assistive communication. So they help with people who may need extra assistance hearing or seeing. So like magnifiers, personal amplifiers for hearing, Bluetooth, cell phone amplifiers, other kinds of things like that. Now they do more than that, but that's kind of the basics of what these ADA kits do across the country. Back during pandemic, when we were opening up the quarantine shelter programs, and when we were doing testing sites and really operationalizing and getting out of the community, we identified that there was a concern with many people in the deaf and hard of hearing community that they were having difficulty participating in those services being provided out in the field. So Lauren DiZavito, who was at that time the Access and Functional Needs Coordinator for the Department of Health, along with the Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Executive Director, Nathan Guom, they came together and developed this project in collaboration with some national funding partnerships, and they got these ADA kits. So they established this sort of program where they would get these kits and they would deploy them. And then after, as COVID, as we started working through COVID, they deployed these kits, they were being used. And then during the wildfires, we also deployed these kits at some of the emergency evacuation centers that was set up in the state. So they've been shown to be utilized, they've been shown to be useful. And that's why I really want to thank the city of Santa Fe for really leaning forward and thinking about what we can do to utilize these kits and use them in emergencies, disasters, and then also outside of the box, like maybe there's some public events that we could also use them for. So it's a big opportunity for us to think about how we can use these kits and look at the different modules that they have. It's basically a carrying case, and Brian will probably talk a little bit more about that, that has these items in there. And so I just want to, again, thank the city for starting this process and this program for greater accessibility. So that's my introduction, and I'll leave it to Brian.
Regina.
Thank you so much. What do the kits do? I'm just completely unfamiliar with them. I'm sorry if that's not.
So
okay.
just to work off of what Eli just expressed, it's a Pelican case about the size of a carry-on baggage for an airliner, and it has a variety of tools. So it has, as he mentioned, a magnifying glass for individuals who may have vision impairment. It has a number of devices to help folks who may need hearing assistance. There's a computer, we can do translation. So it's a combination of tools in a Pelican case. The city purchased two using our ARPA funding, which we had a budget for vulnerable populations. Eli and I and others have talked about doing the training. After I met with constituent services, Christine and her folks, they asked if we could sort of pause the training until we got the ADA coordinator hired, so that that individual would be part of the training for the kits, and they could weigh in on, where they might be best located and sort of who would be the ringmasters of the kits and whatnot. So right now I have them over at our office. So our next step is, again, upon the hiring of the city ADA coordinator, to move forward with a training which would include sort of my folks, Mike too, folks from constituent services, and whoever else that may want to participate. We can certainly extend the training opportunity to, say, for example, the Red Cross, our local Red Cross people. Again, as Eli mentioned, where these appear to have the greatest utility is from my view, would be for shelters. When we're opening a congregate shelter for, say, a large evacuation from wildfire. We did establish a shelter in Santa Fe for the wildfires, but it was never, it didn't have any clients. It was established at the request of the governor's office, and then they expanded the capacity elsewhere. So we never needed to use it, but that would have been the kind of opportunity to put the kits to work. They're a little, they're, I'm not going to say they're big, but it's not something you carry in your pocket. So it's probably not something deployable for, individual police officers or that sort of thing, but rather for significant things like, if we had I don't know, maybe movies in the park where there might be somebody who needs some assistance at movies at the park, or, perhaps someone involved with an event, say Zozobra, who might have some, whether it's visual or hearing need. So, I mean, there's some opportunities for us to sort of look at where we can put these to use. And I'm excited to see us get the training and, actually put them to use. So that's where we're at right now. Any questions?
Yes, raise my hand.
Pam, go ahead.
Go ahead, Pam.
Could you tell me exactly what kind of tools you have for the deaf and hard of hearing community to use?
Eli, do you have I don't have the specific inventory in mind. I apologize. And
Yeah,
there's a
that's
number of
something
items.
we can share. I'm not exactly sure what I don't have the procurement list, but I have the general kit itemized. And so it does have a list of the different items that would be inside the kit that could be utilized. I'll tell you my experience with the kits is once you get them and start using them, you start adding things to it. So when I was in New York City, we actually had these crates that had different items in there. We keep an inventory of it. I'd say the one thing that you want to do with these things is training is helpful. Someone to walk you through it, but you got to just play with it. You got to open it up and start playing with these different devices that it has in it, the iPad, the portable amplifiers, things like that. That gives you a good feel for what it is. And we had set up something during Hurricane Maria, actually, just for overflow. So people who are impacted by Hurricane Maria, a lot of very vulnerable communities came over to New York, and we set up these service centers, and we had those kits open, and people were using them. Lots of people were using them. But the way to really use them is just to get in there and start playing with it. So I can send like a list of what the itemized things are that are in the kits. I can send that to everyone.
And Eli, we can include that in the next month's packet too, so
Sure.
that it'll be on public record. Pam, go ahead.
Oh, I just didn't. I've been having a lot of trouble understanding you, Eli, and the transcription was not helpful. It was so delayed that when I tried to fill in the words, I really didn't hear much of what you said. I didn't understand. I heard sound, but I could not make sense of it, much of it. So what I got is that you're going to make a list, and it's going to appear in this month's minutes for next meeting. Thank you.
Yes.
Aurora, go ahead.
It seems like, if we're going to, once the training happens and they can be used at events, that people, every time an event is mentioned, it needs to be at the end of the event that such and such services are available, call us, so they'll know exists. I mean, otherwise people aren't going to ask for what they assume doesn't exist. And then secondly, I think they should be stored at fire departments on different sides of town. Because fire departments are open 24/7. If there's an emergency need.
Yeah, we're not staffed 24/7, but I'm one of the 24/7 staff. And I live within 10 minutes of Midtown. So if we needed to deploy a kit, it's not really an impasse to both myself and Kyle Morgan, who works for me, we both live within 10 minutes of the office. So I'd be a little bit concerned about leaving them at a fire station, given
Oh.
that they
Yeah.
might get tucked away somewhere where nobody wouldn't, you know, one shift puts them in the closet and nobody knows where they are.
Yeah, gotcha.
Knowing firefighters,
Okay, I don't.
Regina?
I'm still concerned
go
that
ahead.
they not be stored in one place because floods happen, lightning strikes happen, you know. Things get caught off from the other side of town, whatever.
sure.
It's an emergency.
Sure, a point well taken, and I think one thought I just comes to mind is that we can have one at OEM and one stationed with the ADA coordinator
Mhm.
to help ensure that that kid is directly available. And we certainly work with Christine's folks to make sure that public announcements and all the event stuff, you know, acknowledge the availability of the tool. I know they make comment about if you have an access functional need, you know, sort of a line at the bottom, but we can work with them to message a little stronger so that people know we have tools available.
That would be
Regina?
great because people aren't aware, you know, that these things are possible.
Thank you, Chair Gish. I wanted to say for Pam, the other thing that Eli said was that the kits need to be played with. That's how you learn to use them, is not just in a training, but by playing with them. And so I was thinking that maybe we could recruit the libraries to hold them and make them available to people to come and check out from behind the desk and get acquainted with the items in there. Librarians are probably the best people to interface with all types of needs in our community. They do it every day. They helped me run that emergency shelter at Midtown, and they were extraordinary with everybody's special needs. And that maybe probably isn't the best place for them to live forever, but maybe it is a good intro spot where they could publicize that it was available to come and play with. Just an idea. Thank you.
That makes good sense, Regina.
Yeah, and maybe it's something where they would have like a signage that said if you need assistance, and it would give them the people coming to the library and using the library like an idea that they can use it if they're there. I would say though, just we need to make sure that they keep a good eye on that as well, because it could accidentally run out the door. So just making sure that the librarians know like what's in it and to keep a good eye on it.
Yeah, I would expect that they would get their contact information if it disappeared, so that they would have a record of who was handling it throughout the day, and it would be less likely to disappear in that case. Pam, go
Maybe
ahead.
it could be scheduled with a person supervising.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, is sort of like an open house.
Yeah.
Maybe we can, I'm not fully acquainted with the opportunities where we could get sort of concentrated numbers of people that would be potential users. But maybe something along those lines where we can get both users and facilitators together to learn from each other. Again, sheltering folks from the Red Cross, various other organizations might want to send some folks over to learn how to use them, but also having people to actually use it in real life.
Pam, go ahead.
I just want to emphasize how much I appreciate the educational aspect of this plan, because many hard of hearing people are not techno savvy. And even if you put it at a library, if there isn't someone there to say, this is how this works, try it, people don't go searching for problems. You know, you have to do this with your hearing aid, you have to do this with your phone, or you have to borrow this iPad. And if people aren't even familiar with it in their real life, daily life, they're not likely to go into a place and ask for something that makes them feel stupid. So I like the idea of an open house where someone who really knows what they're doing can supervise the play.
Regina, you had your hand up. Do you still have something to say?
Thank you, Chair. I was just going to say that the library actually handles a lot of items that are kind of like this. They actually check out laptops to people, so they have a good process. But that if there's someone, and we could find out if they have anybody that, like if there was one person in each of 2 libraries, we wanted to put these to learn how to use them, they might be willing. We could find that out. We should talk to Maria, Brian.
Agreed. Yeah, I wouldn't want to just hand the kit off to someone and say, oh, here you go. It is a set of tools, but there is some technicalities that, we want to make sure that folks are using them correctly and they're not getting broken and blah, blah, blah. And so that they don't get a false or a misimpression. It's not, what do I want to say? The tools are not necessarily, with the exception of the magnifying glass, they're not really common, at least, and correct me if I'm wrong, Eli, these are not particularly common tools that folks have. And so I think having a caretaker, and I like the idea, and I'll get with Maria to talk about having some folks come over, get trained so that we can try this. But yeah, I think we'd want to have somebody be the chaperone of the kit.
Yeah, and make sure that everything is back in the kit once before the person is allowed to leave and things like that. Yeah. Are there any other questions or comments or anything to add? No?
So just
Go
to
ahead.
add on, thanks, Chair. The Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management here in the state that is responsible for statewide coordination of disasters and emergencies. I've been working with them over the last couple of years to hire a disability and access and functional needs specialist or coordinator to work with them. It was a long process, but just this past month, we were able to hire that disability and access and functional needs coordinator at the State Homeland Security and Emergency Management. So really excited about it. The person will be working virtually. They're on contract. The idea is that it may become a full-time employee over there. And they're going to be looking at personal preparedness for people in the disability community. They're all going to also be looking at some of the planning and initiatives that the state has statewide for emergencies and disasters. And then some training pieces as well. And finally, they're also going to be looking at how do you operationalize statewide integrating disability needs in disasters and emergency planning and the actual operations. So really excited about that. Thanking the state for doing that. It's the Governor's Commission on Disability has been involved, Department of Health, and myself and Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management in the state. So lots of opportunity there. And we finally got a specialist to work with the state.
Very cool. It's very needed. It's been very needed. Are there any other comments or questions? If not, we need to move on. Thank you, Brian. And I appreciate all of the work that you've done to make this happen. I know it wasn't easy. It was a lot of a lot of discussions and a lot of planning. So thank you.
Well, I'm glad to help, and certainly, Eli, that's great news. I know David is he's been a substantive cabinet secretary over there, and he's making some good improvements. We can certainly, through our shared resource mechanisms, make our kits available to support disasters elsewhere in the state. They would likely turn to the health department, another state agency first, but if for some reason they needed more, we could certainly help support. So the kits wouldn't necessarily just be sitting in a closet in Santa Fe. We can take advantage and leverage them to support disaster, particularly flooding in other parts of the state, flooding, fire, what have you. So that's really great. I'm glad to hear that. All righty. One quick question. This is recorded. Where would someone find the recording? Because I know Kira was interested in watching if she couldn't make it.
We have all of our videos on YouTube. It's on the City of Santa Fe YouTube channel. We have
Okay,
our
I'll
own
make
little,
sure she
we
knows.
have our own folder. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. All righty, folks, I'm going to leave you be.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The next item is action items 7A, and crazy enough, it's been 2 years. Since me and Kendra were voted as chair and vice chair. And according to what I can find, the liaisons did not help with this. I'm gonna note that that we don't have assistance from the liaison to notify us. Last time it was Tom notifying us of this need and assisting with it. So I'm not really sure how all this works, but we need to vote for a chair and vice chair for the 2023-25 term. But I have a request because things right now are really abnormal without an ADA coordinator and without the stability that we had when I was voted chair. And so I have asked Eli, and Eli, you can chime in at any time as well. We need to have functionally for what is happening right now. Even with Regina and Helona's support, there is still additional requirements being expected of the chair position. And right now, one person cannot maneuver all of these needs and maintain them. And so if it's possible to have some kind of an interim chair with a interim co-chair and a vice chair as a leadership team where we are all supporting together. There would be, of course, a main person who would be the interim chair, and then the co-chair would be supporting the chair, and the vice chair would be supporting the chair, because that's how much support is needed for one person right now. I'm asking to not be the main person anymore for this interim period, because it is too much right now with my health issues and other things happening in my life. And so I've asked if Eli would be willing to be the interim chair for this time period until we are more stable with an ADA coordinator and a stable liaison who can help us to support all of the work that we're doing instead of us having to make it happen. And so, Eli, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
No, we talked about this, and I think what it is just getting that extra support while we, do that recruitment of an ADA coordinator and the onboarding. And so as we transition to have that extra support. So I'm happy to take on that role and support the Mayor's Committee on Disability. And it sounds like it's going to be something that the three of us, Kathleen and Kendra, will be sort of tag teaming this, but I'm happy to take on more responsibility and help support. I know, Kathleen, you've done a lot in the last, particularly probably the last 8 months.
Yeah.
So if that works out with everyone, then I'm happy to take on that extra responsibility.
Thank you so much for all you guys have done. And thank you for being willing to do it more.
Mhm.
Yeah, if I was thinking, because I don't mind being chair, and I really loved being chair when we had an ADA coordinator, and it wasn't so much on me to reach out to everybody and monitor everything and make sure everything is done right. And, even like the links are driving me crazy with Zoom. It's like all these things are just, it's just a lot to check for one person. And so I'm more than happy to still support, but I cannot be the main, I can't be it. And I've been it, and it's affecting my health. And so I'm acknowledging that respectfully to myself and to the committee. But I think the three of us, me, Eli, and Kendra, have been a really good team. And I definitely couldn't have done all of this by myself. It was all three of us doing this already, but I had to be the main go-to person because I'm the chair. So it'll just be a little bit flipped, where it will be Eli to be the main person, me to be supporting Eli, and Kendra to be supporting me and Eli as we need. And so if that is fine with everyone, if that sounds good, that was the best thing I could think of for our committee for this time where everything is still in flux and we still have no idea what's going to happen in the next year. And so I would like to know your thoughts on that and feedback, if anyone has anything to say.
Thank you for doing it. It's hard work, very hard work.
Yeah. Regina?
Um,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Aurora, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if nobody has anything to say, I wish to nominate Eli, Kathleen, and Kendra as a leadership team for the Mayor's Committee on Disability for the next bit.
Regina?
Somebody want to second that, and then we can have discussion?
Yeah.
I just want to
second
say thank you so much, Kathy, Kathleen, for all that you've done. And Kendra and Eli, I appreciate all the work that you guys have gotten completed through this whole time. And it's been a very difficult time. And thank you again. So as we move forward, hopefully we'll get an ADA coordinator quickly. Once we do, does that mean that you will, the next person that gets, who will be the chair?
I would say that we would hold a vote at that time and vote to determine what's going on. So this right now, this leadership team is in the interim until we're stable. And then once we decide that we are stable, we can vote to have a stable chair and vice chair, or whatever we determine we need. I mean, we can change it if we want, and add a co-chair or do what we need. But I would say it would be fine, and this whole time this past year would have been fine if we had an ADA coordinator, and it wouldn't have been all on me.
Yes.
And so, you know, the stress that I had being chair under Tom was fine. I could manage that and handle that. He was completely supporting me. He was helping every step of the way. He was explaining things when I needed things explained. He was very much a huge support to me as I was learning the role of the chair. In the interim time, there has just been too much shifting and too much needing to be done where the chair doesn't usually do those roles, like making sure that links work and like making sure that the agenda and everything is itemized in accordance with the minutes and everything. Tom helped with that. I did the rest of it, and I was fine with doing that because you guys contacted me to do the agendas and to do agenda items, and I was fine with editing those. I didn't have to edit the minutes. I didn't have to do everything. Tom did the majority of that, and I just checked it. And so now it's just a lot more on the chair. And so it's been frustrating and stressful to adapt to this new way of doing it while there's so much shifting happening and so much needing to be monitored and maintained and checked and everything. And so it really does require a team right now. So that's what's happening.
Good for you. Thank you, Kathleen.
Yeah. And I'm also going to say that the next item is to do assistant subcommittees, to create assistant subcommittees. And we will be requesting support for those. That discussion is going to have to continue because there's members who aren't here, and we also have a open position, so that's going to be ongoing. But for now, we can cover what can be contributed from the three of you who are here, in addition to us. So we'll get to that in the next item though. Regina, go ahead.
I think someone should second the motion. That's really the proper process.
Okay.
So that we can continue discussion.
Miriam.
Oh, sorry. Yes,
That was you seconding the motion, Miriam?
yes,
Thank
correct.
you so much.
Sorry.
Thank you, thank you. I just, thank you so much, everybody, for all your extra work and carrying through in this interim situation. And I did want to pop in and check, does everybody know what their term, when their terms expire? Because I think we,
Already?
well, I wasn't sure. That was just one thing I just
No,
thought.
I think mine, I think has already expired.
That's what I thought. And so
Yeah,
I
we
think
did. We did, the renewals that I had noticed happened in earlier this year. Miriam has not submitted a letter yet, but I haven't been pushing her because of what's happening. So that is needed though. But you already approved the ones who expired in January. And then after that, if I remember right, the next ones expire in 2025. So it might be, but I'll double check that. It's on our list for with our addresses and phone numbers and everything for the membership list.
we can check it. Alona and I can
yeah.
check it out with the city clerk and let you guys know.
Yeah.
Thank
But I'm
you.
pretty sure that I got the ones that were expired. So I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I was on that. Yeah. So I'm not sure how to proceed to vote. If we vote all in one vote with Eli as primary, me secondary, and Kendra as third, for a leadership team in this interim. I don't think we should have to vote for each of us individually. I think that we're just a team. So may we have a motion to approve the interim leadership team until it is determined that a stable.
I think I did. And
Yeah,
I
you
think
have a
Maureen
motion and a
seconded.
second, Chair.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
time
Alright.
for the roll call.
Yeah,
May we
the-
have roll call then? Thank
yeah,
you.
The way I understand it is Aurora Black moved to nominate Eli and Kendra to be part of the MCD leadership team.
Well,
With Eli
It's
being the
me,
interim.
it's Eli, me, and Kendra.
yeah, so Eli, Kathleen, and Kendra.
Eli is primary, I'm secondary, and Kendra is third.
Okay, Aurora Black,
Yes,
Kendra Garcia,
Yes.
Chair Gish,
Yes.
Ham Parfit,
Yes,
Miriam Jarhar,
Yes,
Eli Fresquez.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you so much, everyone. And so in the next meeting, Eli will probably run the meeting, but I'm willing, like I said, we're going to be a team. So we're going to be helping. And if I have agenda items that I'm more likely to understand more in depth, then I'll do those. So let's see, next item is 7B. What time do we have? We have an hour. Voting to create MCD assistant subcommittees. This doesn't necessarily need to happen right now. Like I said, it would be great if there was more members present. Although I can reach out to the ones who are not here, and we can determine what they want to help with. But again, the role of duties is a lot more than it should be without an ADA coordinator assisting. And so I was thinking to start the process of creating subcommittees that assist the chair in this interim time. But it would be the leadership team. And Aurora, like one idea that I had is that you're really good at identifying the edits in the minutes and the transcript. And
Okay.
so I would love to get with you on those and identify and anyone else who wants to be on the subcommittee would be included in checking the minutes and transcript for accuracy. We do have an issue with the cart services, and we'll get to that in this meeting. But the minutes and transcript not being accurate for context more than anything is what's most important, and to check that and make sure that the context is accurate. And so that's my main concern. And also to make sure that everyone who is attending is listed as being in attendance. And so things like that. So I don't know if we have to vote for this. We can if we need to. Helena, Regina, I don't know if we have to vote to create a subcommittee, or we just
I don't
just
think
do
we
it.
have
I don't
to.
think we, okay.
I think if we just
Is it-
do it,
So just a question, Madam Chair,
Yeah.
are we creating one subcommittee or are they multiple subcommittees?
There's going to be multiple subcommittees, so I'm just getting to this one first because Aurora is
okay,
here.
okay.
Yeah.
I thought it
So,
had my name written all over it.
And I really appreciate it. Because I look through those and my poor brain just like melts. So okay, so me and Aurora, and anyone else, any other person can join in and help at any time. This is not just saying that it's on me and Aurora.
And feel
Right.
free to look at what you said,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, that would really help if people checked what they said, because we know what we said and what we intended to say. And so if everyone could check at least their section and state that it was accurate or inaccurate, and what it should have said, even if you misspoke, even if you say something that you didn't mean to say and you're like, I meant to say this, please do that.
There's one
Um,
thing in the transcript that I said that I have no idea what it was supposed to be. So,
It happens. I definitely do that too, where I'm like, what? What did I say? So then the other ones that I'm thinking, the Inclusive City Access Subcommittee, that would be like checking for snow removal, weed removal, making sure that access paths are cleared. And just generally keeping an eye out for the community. That one's going to take a little bit more because it does require going out and surveying paths and things like that. So that one I'm kind of a little bit more on the fence about, but I think we can all a little bit contribute, at least in our own areas of our neighborhoods and community that we're living in.
so if we see something, maybe we could funnel it through one person or something.
Yeah, I would say like CC it to me, Eli, and Kendra, and we'll make sure that it gets on to Regina and to the city to deal with in a timely manner, hopefully. And then social media and website subcommittee. So one thing I was thinking was, and this includes PrimeGov, making sure that the links work, making sure that everything that was supposed to be uploaded is uploaded. That one is a little bit more complicated because it does require knowing what is supposed to be on the agenda and all that, and making sure that it was actually uploaded. So that one is going to need to be discussion. Maybe that could be me, Eli, and Kendra checking that, all of us. Go ahead, Kendra.
I was gonna say, yeah, I don't mind doing that,
Okay.
being a part of that subcommittee.
Okay. And then I do have updates for the website that that should be added. Eli, we had made a accessible format document of the city resolution for the mayor's committee that needs to be uploaded because the document right now is not accessible. And so I was thinking to request for Regina to send that to be uploaded. And so that's on my list, things like that. So it shouldn't be that hard. But it's just a matter of having it, checking it, making sure that it's right, uploading it, making sure that it's uploaded and usable. Because a lot of times when things are uploaded, it's not working. So.
Yeah, and just to clarify on that point, Madam Chair, so the current resolution that is like the formation of this committee is in an inaccessible PDF. Really no fault of anyone, is because when it was created, that's all they really had. But we just quickly transcribed it, put it on a Word doc, and that's going to be accessible to everyone.
Miriam, can you mute yourself, please? Thank you. And then inclusive meeting subcommittee, Pam, I was thinking of having you on that so that the city meetings can be accessible for everyone. And I'm more than happy to join in on that because that's one thing that I feel is very important, to have community input at all governing body meetings, especially. And so I'm happy to join with you on that. But that way we can work on CART, sign language, Spanish interpreting, making sure that different things, making sure that it's all various means of inclusion, physical access, and other things. Does that sound okay, Pam?
The captioning is so delayed. I am not sure what was said. I gather it has to do with city, the governing body meetings access
So
in various ways.
CART interpreting, sign language, Spanish interpreting, and other forms of access in governing body meetings.
And so
So-
that's subcommittee that you were asking if I would be on that committee.
Yes.
Yes. I'm not going to use the captioning. It's too distracting because I'm trying to read lips, trying to hear and read. I can't do it all at the same time. So.
Regina, go ahead.
Thank
Sorry.
you, Chair. I had a question about what's going on with the captioning. So what I've learned as we've gone through this process, and you probably already know this, is that the AI, the artificial intelligence captioning that's built into Zoom is real time. And the live captioning has the delay because of the human interface. And so there's pros and cons, but it sounds like today it's worse than it ever was before, Pam.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so
It's just useless. It's making me read, hear, and watch the screen for other cues. So I'm going to get rid of it today. I can't use it at all.
Yeah,
So-
and we're getting to this to Regina. We have a whole item on this because it was a huge problem that I've noticed with this is not just happening in this meeting, it's happening in the governing body meetings.
Hi, this is
and
the
so-
captioner. Would you
yeah.
like me to just stop? Hi, this is the captioner. Would you like me to just stop?
I
No,
don't
because
think so.
we're using the
Necessary for
transcript.
me.
Yeah,
Can't use it. Thank
we're
you.
using the transcript, but if she can't use it, that's fine. We need the transcript still. So
Okay.
keep typing. Thank you. Okay, so then the ADA Coordinator Selection Committee, I put this on there before Eli, Kendra, and myself were selected to do the interviewing. So I just wanted on public record that myself, Kendra, and Eli will be doing interviewing for the ADA coordinator in June, and I will get to that because we have a whole item on that. But that's the subcommittee. That's who's on that subcommittee. Kendra, go ahead.
It's nothing to do with this particular one that you were just saying about this subcommittee, but the last one.
Yeah,
One
that's
thing that I was thinking, at least for Pam, would you like us, if we're asking you a direct question, would you like us to put it in the chat box so that you're able to read it or at least understand more clearly what we're saying?
No, I think that the method of trying to read things that I missed is not as effective as just filling it in by the lip reading and the context of what's being said. I've got several problems going on.
Oh, I'm
My
sorry.
is if I go left, it goes right. I'm moving myself and watching things that are opposite. Plus, I got brand new glasses and there's no nose pad, so I have this metal digging into my face. So I'm just not with the program completely, and the captions are not helping me. You guys just go ahead. I'm gonna just do two things. Only lip read. And
No
hear what I
worries.
can.
I just wanted to see. I was like, well, maybe that might help, but no worries. Thank you.
And the reading is too hard. So thank you.
You're welcome.
And then if anyone who isn't on camera can't be on camera, that's fine. I will try my best to restate what is being said. If someone isn't on camera and doesn't want to be, that's fine.
And
On
some
that note,
really good audio, and some of, like Eli, for me today is the most difficult.
Miriam?
my camera's not working in Zoom and I don't know why. So
Yeah,
I
So she said
apologize.
Miriam said her camera is not working and she doesn't know why. So that's
I
That's
know.
fine. Yeah, okay.
So she's 100% unintelligible for me.
She was very muffled for me too, but I can hear what she's saying, so. And then the ADA grievance process oversight committee, that was me and Eli. But I'm gonna pull Kendra into that as well. Because we're the leadership team, so we have to make sure that the process that is in place is being followed in this interim period. And then that was what I got on the agenda. As I'm thinking of other needs that we will need, I will voice it to the committee, and then we will determine who can provide support as we need it, okay? So next is 7C updates for posting the MCD position. So as you know, we have one position available. May was like nonstop. And so I didn't get a chance to really do anything. It was all medical issues and cat issues and all kinds of things. So I am planning this in the next week to get the posting for the Mayor's Committee on Disability public. And that, like I said, part of that is making sure that the posting of the city resolution is accessible, because that is a huge part of people understanding what this committee does and what we're about. So once that, I will start the process to update that link first, and then start on the process to request a new member. Go ahead, Regina.
I think we can have the city clerk's office do that.
Okay. So the part of the issue, and I can email you what was stated, was that we do want it on Facebook and accessible. We do want a city webpage because that is accessible. The text is accessible. On Facebook, it's usually an image, and so the text would need to be posted into the body of the post as well with the attached image. And then I'm trying to think of other things. I know it's often posted in the newspaper, and there's other things. So I can get with you on that to figure out where it would be best to be published. But definitely on Facebook, and that was an issue before. So I'll tell you what the issue was, so hopefully we can not have that repeat, because it was a mess. And it was a lot of just miscommunication. It wasn't clear on when the end date was. And the end date was way too soon. So that was one of the problems. So that's just an update on that. 7C or 7D is the summer commemoration event. Eli, do you want to go over that? It's to celebrate and give awards to selected city staff and others who have supported the disability community.
Yes, thanks. So we're in the process right now of setting that ceremony up. It will be July 25th, Tuesday, from 6 to 8 p.m. at the New Mexico History Museum. And the purpose of the awards is to celebrate Disability Pride Month, to commemorate the Americans with Disabilities Act 33rd anniversary, which will actually be technically on the next day. And it's really to lift up and acknowledge people in the community, people in the private sector who have been champions of disability and accessibility in the community here in Santa Fe. Try to spark that enthusiasm and support, and then look at ways of collaborating. So it's something that I had done and been a part of when I was in New York City. And I don't know of anything quite like that that's been done here in New Mexico. So I think we're the first time doing this. It's really exciting. And again, it's a positive event. It's about celebrating the commemoration of the American Disabilities Act. And we do plan on giving out awards acknowledging people in the community who, again, have done things for the disability community and accessibility. So for example, small business that maybe hires people with disabilities or provides services to people in the disability community. Someone in government who has been a champion within city, state, or local government for people with disabilities. Those are just some examples. We're still working on some of those logistics. We're looking at 5 primary awards that will be decided by the subcommittee of this committee. And we will be sending out a RSVP very, very soon, within the next day or two, to City Council and to other folks that we know we want to invite. And then we'll be working on a program guide for the event, and then what the actual 2-hour event's going to look like. But it is going to be at the New Mexico History Museum. We have that locked in. We're looking at some catering and some other things. And we just want it to be a place to talk about accessibility, to network, and to give acknowledgement to our community.
Thank you, Eli. Kendra?
One thing that I wanted to add, Eli, is just if you have any places or people in mind that you think might fall under those categories, if you could please send them to us, myself or Eli, and so we can add them as part of the, possibilities of who may receive that award for that category, so that we are, getting everybody's input as much as possible.
Thank you, Kendra. So are there any questions or comments for Eli or Kendra? Go ahead, Regina.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. And I'm really excited about this event. I think awareness raising is so much where we need to start in this town. And I'm excited to see the winners and get to know what they do and learn from them. I also, we had discussed this, and I don't think it's on the agenda, but the possibility of raising the Disability Pride flag at City Hall for Disability Pride Month. This month is Gay Pride Month, and we'll be hanging the inclusive Gay Pride flag in a bit of a ceremony at noon. I think it might be on Monday. But I wanted to offer that we might be able to get a Disability Pride flag and do the same thing if we thought that would be a good ad and not too much to do.
Everyone?
We'll have to pick a flag. I guess there's 2.
Yeah, there's 2. There's one that has very sharp, jagged edges, and that one is not, I don't vote on that one. So there's one that's acceptable. So I will send that to you, Regina. Pam, go ahead.
Did you say Pam?
Yes.
Okay, this is not about the flag. This has to do with nominating people. I'm curious about how far-reaching your ask for nominations is. Who are you going to approach? I mean, I got finally from Kendra, Eli, I can email my choices to you, but who else are you asking to participate? That's part of education too, making people think, oh. Who else is being asked to nominate people?
Yeah, so for now, we're really asking the committee. We're doing our own independent research and going out as well. I think just given the time frame, we don't have the capacity right now to do like a survey or other kinds of things because we're just moving as quickly as we can. But I think what we want to do in the future, hopefully for next year, is maybe come up with some acknowledgement awards that would go out to the community through possibly social media or Facebook page. It's just at this point, because we're so close, we're basically a month away or so. We're just trying to get this first features of the event started and set us for next year. And I've been reaching out to lots of folks and they have lots of ideas and we have this kind of ongoing list. So it's really exciting actually, because there's just so much, right? So more to come.
Just to add, Pam, I've actually asked colleagues of mine for New Vistas. So they've kind of given me a few suggestions. And then we've actually reached out to some other disability community members who they thought. So we haven't done a whole lot out there, but we've done a little bit at least.
So you have at least a good list for this first go round.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I'm dying to add somebody to that list who's not already on it.
Well, we would love to hear it. So please just
Yes.
send us an email and we will add them to the list. And if you could give us a little tidbit as to why you're wanting to add them to that list, that'd be great. Just so that we can kind of learn more.
Yeah, and I want to add to that is that part of the plan of this has been that this is going to be an annual event. So this will be ongoing every year to celebrate Disability Pride Month and to acknowledge the people who are supporting disability pride and access and inclusion. And so this is not a one-time thing. And also I can say in the past, it's been discussed to ask for city funding, but we have to do it when they're doing their budget and make sure that we plan ahead. And so that is also still a possibility that we could request city funding. And also I was thinking for next year to start the process ASAP to plan for it to be in the convention center next year so that so we have a larger space and we can have more people and invite as many people as we want without restriction, because the space right now is it's not as large as it could be, but it's great for the event we're having now. And so, to think really big, think outside the box and think about what disability pride could look like in Santa Fe and go for it. And so that's my plan in the next year is to plan for next July. So,
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
You know when we would be able to see about getting funding or at least requesting that funding to help with
that would be,
next year's
Regina
event?
would know that when I know that the budgets happen in July, the renewal happens. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The budget is approved in April, usually each year, and put together in January approximately. These aren't large funds, however, I don't think that you'd be looking for. Public Works is a huge department. $5,000 is no problem to find. And there's also mid-year budget adjustments. So if you just let me know what you'd like to, what you need funded, I'm sure I can get that for you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Regina.
Yeah, thank you. So Eli, you heard that, right?
Yeah, no, I hear it. Thank you, of course. So Madam Chair, a couple of things. One is I think it would be a great opportunity for the city to consider there be like a mayoral proclamation commemorating the ADA. I know we had done that a couple of years ago. So along with the flag, which is actually a really, really cool idea. I hadn't thought of that. The other thing is, and I was mentioning this to some folks in Albuquerque, was New Mexico also doesn't have a Disability Pride Parade. And that's something that we had done in New York City in conjunction with the Disability Pride Month. Sometimes it gets confused with Pride, right? LGBTQ plus Pride in June. But we had like close to 10,000 people at some of those disability pride parades, including Judy Human. I don't know if you all know of her, but she is considered really the mother of ADA and disability rights in the country. She recently passed, but she was there for our first pride parade. And it is about, building up awareness, but it's also about celebrating people, right? And then also linking leadership with constituency. These are people that vote. I mean, it's something people need to hear from these folks in the community that are often not heard. So just, thinking about that, we've actually been approached by a couple of organizations that said that they want to host it next year. So, but I think Convention Center will work on that. We'll try to first do this, to get this one done first, and then let's think about what next year is. But I think there's so much opportunity, and I love everyone's enthusiasm. So
Yeah, I do too. I think Pam had her hand raised, but I don't know if it was raised from her prior comment. So if there are no other comments, we of course will have another meeting on this, or included on the agenda in the next meeting to discuss more and also to plan for next year. We need to start right away to really hone down what we want and what it should look like. And that's very exciting. I have to say, I'm very excited. Pam, do you have any more to say?
No,
Okay, because your hand is up.
it is. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I got my car's in the shop. That was the service people. I had to take that call, so I don't even know the thread of why I raised it.
That's okay. So if there's nothing more to say, then the next item on the agenda is 7E, continued discussion on updated ADA coordinator job position, description, and process to hire and interviews. And the only thing I have to add is that on June 13th and 15th, me and Kendra and Eli, along with, is Kira Ochoa in that? Regina, do you know? And Helena? I know she was included in the email, but yeah.
Yes, yes, I can tell you a little bit more about that when you're
Yeah.
ready. Thank you, Chair.
Go for it. So it's me, Eli, Kendra, Kira Ochoa, and Helena were included in that email. So yeah.
And I'd love to tell you a little bit of, as we're talking about the interview of the
Yeah.
ADA. So the city continues to look at forming the Office of Equity and Inclusion type of thing. And now instead of a separate department, they're looking at including it into the existing community services department under Kira Ochoa. It's actually community health and safety. It has fire, police, youth and family services, libraries. And so since the vision is beginning to evolve that this position would move into that team, which they're very excited about it, Julie Sanchez is the director of that division. She participated in the first interviews with me. And then Kira is the department director, and she's going to participate in the second interviews with you, so that we're really fostering this evolution of this, not just an ADA coordinator, but an entire equity and inclusion initiative and office for the city. Thank you.
Yeah, that's an interesting change. I have thoughts, both good and bad. Some of them, it's like, of course, a department, to me, it should be in the mayor's office. Like, that's how I view it. It should be a really high level, because inclusion and equity is incredibly important. But I also know what an amazing team Julie and Kira are, having been an intern for them. And I know how much Julie is working to already establish equity and inclusion in her work. And so, yeah, so I'm not opposed to that, I have to say. But I definitely have thoughts, I mean, it can go either way, to me, but Julie is amazing. She really is. So, anyone else have any thoughts or comments on that? No. Yeah, so think about that and think about like what that would look like for us as a committee to be under community services. With community services, what they do is pretty much fund and support community needs. So nonprofits, community services. This is like homeless shelters. What did we work on? We worked on, it was homeless shelters. It was nonprofits. It's the Human Services Committee. It's the Immigration Committee. Youth and Family Services Department does the youth. I don't remember what they were called. There's a youth committee. So there's a lot of, the senior services, they do senior services, they do the libraries. So there would be a lot of opportunity to influence change directly into the community, and also to kind of have a say in including disability in everything that Julie is already doing, which is one of the aspects that was missing from what she's doing. It's indirect, but it would be more direct that way. If the Office of Equity and Inclusion was included under community services. So it would be more acknowledged directly. All right, so that's my thoughts on that. Let's see. Oh, if you have any questions that you want us to ask the ADA coordinator candidates, please email me and Eli and Kendra, and we will see if we can ask the two candidates those questions. Go ahead, Regina.
I sent you a really big set of questions that are
Okay.
going to take every bit of time that you
Okay.
have. They're really
They're
quite-
probably already on there, but I'll just make sure. Yeah.
And I'm happy to send them out to everybody, but I was just kind of
Okay.
saying that we should really add and subtract if you want to change things,
Yeah.
and I'm happy to support that.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So if there's any really pressing questions that you want to know, or want us to know about the candidates, that would be great. And yeah, I'll pick the best questions. I think we have an idea of what we're looking for already. We've already voiced a lot of that. So I'm looking forward to those interviews, so I have to say it's very exciting to me. I shadowed Julie when she was doing interviews, and so I was like thinking back on that experience and how exciting it was just to sit in the room, and here I am going to be doing interviews. So it's very, very exciting. And very important to include disabled people in that. So the next item is 7F. Discussion and plan to implement inclusive city meetings and accommodations process, Zoom hybrid meetings, ASL, CART languages, loop system, and city buildings, and ongoing need to correct and update community access. So one of the issues it has been CART. In the meeting on May 10th, the CART services that I witnessed were completely insufficient. They were several sentences behind what was being said. And I have to say, I've never seen CART that was that delayed. When I met with Nathan Gome, we came up with some ideas of what might be happening, which is a delay in the internet, different things that might be happening, because usually CART is an in-person stenographer, and they are able to accurately identify what is being said. But the thing is that the delay that's happening it was even disorienting for me, and I can hear. But to see that what is being said was like typed 2 sentences later, 3 sentences worth later, that is completely disorienting for anyone. And that's what's happening. It's happening in this meeting as well. And so one of the questions that I had, and I think you already had answered it before, is before the meeting started, is who is the CART services agency? Regina. You're on mute. That's okay.
It's Partners Interpreting.
Partners Interpreting.
Yes, and we're using the same company for this as for the, I set up the PO and that was the only way we actually got CART at the council meetings. And what they've told me is that you can get super real time with the artificial intelligence built into Zoom, and it's getting better by the minute. I don't know if maybe we should try that again.
So what Nathan had said to me, let me see if I can, where's my notes? Okay, so let me just read my notes real quick. So the issues with CART, there was 3 identified issues. That it's delayed more than 2 sentences, whereas that there was a use of question marks in the in the captions. So when someone was speaking and they stated their name or they stated something that was not coherent to the stenographer, they used question marks, going down like several questions, like 8 to 10 question marks, rather than stating that something was incoherent or mumbled. And so there was nothing identified, and it was extremely confusing even to me. And then there were several presenters that were speaking way too fast, and that no one in the meeting told them to or reminded them to speak professionally and to slow down for just the general public. And so I saw that that was an issue, that the faster the speakers presented, the more incoherent and delayed the text was on the screen, which is of course a problem. And then that was for the meeting on May 10th. Then I think there was the meeting on May 31st, or it was the last meeting that I saw, was that there was no identifiers for names of who was speaking at all. When I was watching it, it was just one sentence followed by another person speaking that was just a sentence with nothing identifying that a new person was speaking. And when the mayor was speaking, there was nothing identifying that it was the mayor speaking or a city councilman. And so that's a problem, that it was literally just run-on sentences that was completely disorienting to follow. Even though I could hear who was speaking and could identify who it was on that text, there was nothing differentiating it. And those are both problems. And so Nathan Gohm, who Eli, you stated his, he's the director for the New Mexico Commission, is it commission? On the deaf and hard of hearing. And so he stated that the city council, that the governing body meetings should be clear, that the text should be clear. And he also stated that there's something called stream text that allows a person to meet in person and follow along on a phone or device that they have. And that's apparently not being used because Pam, I don't know if you want to go into detail about what your experience was with the city clerk and what she told you. If you don't, I can relay it.
Oh, I don't remember who told me, but when I was going to show up in person, I was told, don't bother, you'll have to do it online, which the reason was not clear to me why I could do it online, but there was no accommodation for me in person. And the problem was online, the captioning was so delayed that after an hour, I just completely gave up.
And the captioner, Jill, thank you for this. It says that there is a link available that's given to you. The city clerk's office is completely unaware of accessibility, and that's been an ongoing problem. And so Pam, really no one should be told ever to go home in order to get accommodations. And that is an absolute violation of ADA. If they want to attend in person, they should be accommodated to attend in person. And so whoever stated that, like I said, we need to educate the city overall on accessibility and inclusion, but that was a completely improper statement to say to anybody. And so for Pam to not be included in that meeting and to miss out on participating in that event the way that she chose to was improper. Pam, go ahead.
I'd like to clarify that I had an audiology appointment that ran into the 5 o'clock start. I was talking to someone there. I cannot tell you who. I was driving and saying, I will be late, but when I get there, blah, blah. And whoever that person was said, don't bother to come here. You'll be better off online. We can't accommodate you. So I never actually got to the city council chambers. I was en route. And I cannot tell you how I had that contact name of someone. But I understand that in August, the hearing loop will be installed. That will help a lot. It won't help the deaf, but that will help the hard of hearing a lot.
Yeah, thank you, Pam. And I know, Regina, you had stated, or the city clerk had stated, that what is being used is, quote, the best available or the best service available. It must have been the city clerk, I don't know, but this is not. I mean, I'm sure that that having a 2-sentence delay is not proper and is not the best available. And so whatever is happening, it does need to get fixed so that it is more accurate. We did talk with Nathan, and he did say that it's called ARS, which I don't have it in my notes what that means, but Eli, what is ARS?
ASR, automated speech.
ASR.
Yeah,
Automated
automated
speech
speech
recognition.
recognition.
Yeah, so automated speech recognition, in addition to the CART services transcriber, is what Nathan suggested to try and resolve this issue. I don't know if that's what's being used though, so that's a question to identify. But it's not supposed to be several sentences delayed. Absolutely. And I've experienced CART in numerous webinars, and it was really accurate. It was within a few seconds at the most delayed. And so I've been really shocked at the lack of quality of CART services that has been that is implemented into the city right now. And so we really need to resolve this. Obviously, if the CART services aren't sufficient through this agency, I don't know, maybe we can figure out if there's an issue on their end that's happening that they're not aware of. I don't know, but it needs to get resolved. So, Pam, if you still have something to say? No? Okay. Regina?
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. This is the first feedback that I've gotten about CART, so I wish I could have gotten it as soon as the problem was noticed. I did set up the purchase order and push really hard to get it used at the governing body meetings. It was by provision of the purchase order and the funding for it that we were able to get CART at all. They were adamantly attached to the Zoom artificial intelligence translation. So I'm happy to try to find another service or, like you said, resolve the problems with this one. It's a bad time to set up a new purchase order. We are on closure now of our fiscal year, but I'm certainly happy to work on that. And if anybody has suggestions, if anybody knows where you saw really great CART services, then I can switch gears and get that going. I'd also like to add that I did send that big gigantic email to the city clerk that said we wanted ASL and Spanish and all the rest, and they are working on, they're aware, slowly but surely. I'll ping them, again, to get progress. And I think they are being responsive to the letter of the law, and that they are working towards it. And I'll keep working with them, because I agree with you that we need all of the above all the time. One of the challenges that the city clerk said she's had with partners interpreting and other vendors is that the council meetings go from 5 p.m. until past midnight sometimes. And many of the captioning services can't provide that kind of support. It's a really difficult, and then we have special meetings and all this jazz. So I'm not sure what the resolution is, but no doubt there's things to work through, and I'm happy to continue to work with the city clerk on that. And we'll start first with fixing this captioning
Yeah.
and seeing if we can get ASR.
And it was brought to the city clerk's attention. Pam notified me right away that the city clerk was notified during the meeting that it was a problem. And so, yeah, so the city clerk is already aware. Eli, go ahead.
Yeah, I can send over a cart captioning service that I've used in the past. That's high quality. I've worked with Nathan with them. I don't know if they have the capacity though to go those long distances, those late nights. So maybe it's also a strategy, maybe in the short run at least, to prioritize, to have the cart captioning and then have automated at other periods that isn't quite there, right? It's not fully accessible, but it will shift us to the left a bit. So let me see if I can find their profile. I'll send it over to you, Regina.
I'm going to raise my hand.
Go ahead, Pam.
I keep leaving it up there, and this, I'm raising my right, but it appears as my left. Why don't we get someone in Hawaii to do this? They're 4 hours different from the West Coast.
I'll volunteer to go to Hawaii and be the captioner.
That would be great.
Maybe one exists. It's on the West Coast or Hawaii or something, and they don't mind. They're not going to be up till midnight.
Yeah, that could be. We can look into that. So what I wanted to tell you, Regina, is the two text options where you get a link and the person can attend in person on their own device on their phone. It actually uses a browser, and they're called, one is Stream Text and the other is WordShare that Nathan told me about. And so no one should be being told to go home. They should be being provided that link to attend in person and being able to follow while they're in person. So. And that's all I have for that. So then the next item, so the next item is 7G. Just this one's really quick, but it does need a follow-up. So the public library, it's 7G public library access process for obtaining physical materials for homebound and physically limited patrons. So I've decided, so I used to have this when I was homebound, and I had, because I love the library. And
We can't hear you. I don't know what happened.
can you hear me? Yeah, okay. So I don't know how far back I was heard. So this is an issue with the public library and for patrons who are homebound or physically limited to get physical resources. And I've been homebound in the past and used the service because I love the library. And so what happened was a person who was a volunteer brought library books to my home and also returned library books as I was wanting to return them. And it was wonderful. It made being stuck in the house so much nicer. And it really helped me to feel more included in the community, even though I wasn't. But when I just tried, and it was partly out of need, but not fully, I can get rides on Saturdays basically. But I wanted to test it to see, because when I looked online on the library webpage, which I included in this packet, it states to contact the Friends of the Santa Fe Public Library for assistance to, I don't know what I did with the printout, for assistance to get library materials delivered to your home. And quote, I will quote this, it says, "For information about book delivery to homebound patrons and residents of nursing homes, please contact the Friends of the Santa Fe Public Library for more information." But it doesn't include any link or anything to that website. It doesn't include a phone number or email to call. And when I look on the Friends of the Santa Fe Public Library, there's no information whatsoever that they provide this service. And then when I emailed them, which is my primary means of communication is email, I never received any response back. And I made it very clear that I was a disabled person requesting home delivery for library books. And so I can forward you my email, Regina. Okay. And so it just needs to be more transparent and clear. And also there needs to be a response when someone is reaching out for assistance. I made it as clear as I possibly could, and I had never heard back. So I've been checking my spam. I've been, there's just been nothing. And so this needs to be much more clear about what is the process to get the services and how to reach out to people and actually get them when it's requested. So hold on. So that's all I have to say about that. I would love a follow-up on that, and also to know if they update their website to be a little bit more helpful and clear. That would be wonderful. Because I searched all over the entire Friends of the Santa Fe Library page, and there's just nothing at all about that they even do that. And I know that they do because they did in the past for me. And it was wonderful, like I said. So then the next items, these are going to go pretty fast. 8A is just a discussion on ice and weed removal in the city of Santa Fe. And I do have a question for you, Regina. I'm noticing, of course, because of all these rains and everything, it being spring, that the weeds are already starting to grow. And this includes that path on Paseo de Peralta that I had mentioned to you. The sidewalk is already starting to be overgrown of weeds. And so I'm wondering what is the plan for the city of Santa Fe, especially in areas that are high access to resources like malls, grocery stores, medical facilities, bus access, and things like that, where someone would be impeded if there was large weeds in the way.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, the city, goes like crazy, whacking weeds every day, day and night. We have hired crews under contractors. So we have ProScapes helps us. We have crews that do the medians and the sidewalks all over town as fast as they can. The best, I'll submit a work order for that sidewalk again. I'm sure they have it on their schedule, but as you guys know, we are a completely chemical-free city, which means there is just no way to keep up with the weeds, especially not in a season like this. But we do, like I said, augment. We have seasonal workers that we hire. We have our regular parks crews, and then we also hire contractors to help us keep up in the summertime, but it's never enough. But I will definitely enter a work order for that sidewalk right now.
Thank you. And then another question I had, I remember you saying that the city was using Steam, I think it was, trying that out. Is there any updates on on that?
Yeah, they did a demo a couple of weeks ago. You might have seen it in the paper, and I think they think it's going to be good. It's supposed to actually kill weeds so that we should be able to get them once. We only have one machine at this point, and it's making its way through the city. I think that's all I know.
Okay, thank you for that update.
I want to say a big thank you for the sweeping of the bicycle, pedestrian, jogging trail along Old Santa Fe Trail, all the way down and around. I mean, it was great.
And thank you to Pam. We had to open 2 work orders because we got with one work order, we got part of the work done, and then we had to open another work order to get the rest of it, but we got it. Thanks so much, Pam.
That's the whole thing. Thank you.
Very cool. Thank you, Pam. Next item is 8B, if no one else has anything to add to the weeds and snow removal. 8B is ADA compliance process upon receipt of a verbal, written, mailed, emailed complaint. So I was just wondering, Regina, if you have had a chance to read through the website process just to become familiar with it.
I have skimmed it. I don't have any pending accommodation requests except for Pam's.
Okay. And then 8C, continued discussion of appropriate city placement for ADA coordinator and Mayor's Committee on Disability. That was partly addressed of what might happen. So I think that was sufficient unless you have something more to add, Regina. No, okay. And then 8D, continued discussion on updates on new city website. The city never obtained advising from the Mayor's Committee on Disability. So yeah, the only thing I have to add to that, which was really already said, I know that you had met with Jesse Armijo and went over the city website. Do you have anything that came out of that, Regina, that you know of?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, I didn't go to the meeting. He met directly with our webmaster, but I think Eli might have been there. Were you there,
Okay.
Eli? I don't know if you have a report. That actually happened a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I was there. Jesse presented, it was fantastic. We talked about some best practices about how to make websites accessible, social media, the whole thing. He's done this presentation many, many times. And he had some recommendations for the current website, particularly the overlay from Accessibility that's on our website for the city. We don't recommend that. Some overlays are better than others. Accessibility is notorious for not being helpful. In fact, for most people using screen readers, it's a screen reader trap, which means if they're using a screen reader to access information on the website, their screen reader is going to get trapped in that little widget, and they're not going to be able to move out of it, meaning they can't explore the rest of the website.
Were they receptive to that feedback at the meeting, Eli?
I thought they were, but I don't know. The widget's still on. I just checked it a
Okay.
few minutes
Okay,
ago.
thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the kind of updates I'm wanting is like, did they actually put what Jesse suggested to use? And it doesn't sound like it. So it sounds like we need to follow up with them. Yeah. All right. So I will add that to the next agenda item or the next agenda.
And Madam Chair, I also don't mind doing a little more homework on the website. I can take a look at it and make some recommendations. Some of these are very simple. You can, if you're somebody who knows how to manipulate the website, if you're the developer or the coordinator, however it's being managed, you can sit down and make these little changes pretty easily. I will say though that there are aspects of the website that are more accessible than a lot of other websites that I've seen. So I do want to say that the city has done some things, but there are a few other things that I think that can make some real big improvements that are really easy to do.
Yeah. And one of my issues is actually a funny one. So I often print websites to PDF to keep them, but also to share them with our committee. And also it allows me to use my e-readers easier because then it's just a web page and I can delete what I want off of there, like links and things like that. And it's just a clear read that way. And so what I'm noticing on the city web page is that when I try and print it, the text is like way off on the end of the page, or it's like really teeny tiny. And so there's something happening where when you try to print the city web page, and it's only happening on the city website, it's not happening on any other websites that I've tried to print on so far. For some reason, and I'll send you examples, Regina, of what I'm talking about. So you can see that it's like 3 inches off. So it'll be 3 inches over, and then the text is like way off the end. And it's very strange, and I have not yet figured out why it's doing that. But I will send it to you so that hopefully we can get that fixed, because it's been really annoying just trying to share website information with the committee and like not being able to do that without doing some massive editing. So go ahead, Regina.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If you want to send me that, I will send it to the webmaster. Not it's so funny. So I just went in to enter the work order for that walkway that you said. And do you know that it tells you that if the weeds are less than 12 inches tall, it doesn't constitute an issue? So I guess I'll say they're over 12 inches tall.
There are some that are, yeah. I can send you photographic proof. Yeah. Yeah, and that's because of ADA, but the thing is that they grow so fast that it's like you have to get to them. Yeah. Okay. I'm making a note. Okay, and then the next item is 8E. And that is MCD subcommittee reports. Regina, do you have something more to add? No? Okay. MCD subcommittee reports.
I have one.
Go ahead.
The transit was the cover story for the Santa Fe Reporter on May 10th. They talked about, staffing problems, and they said the Transit Advisory Board hasn't met in 3 years, which is true. And so anyway, they also lauded the praises of the NCTRD, North Central Transit, and they're going all electric, which I don't know, our best nerd thinks is a bad idea. Anyway, so the 4 remaining Transit Advisory Board members wrote a response, including me, and it was in the Santa Fe Reporter, I guess 2 weeks later. And so anyway, I mean, we're still hoping to get the Transit Advisory Board back together. And I mean, we've got 4 solid members, and we're, looking at people. I mean, there's kind of some slots. There's a disability slot, which I'm not in. We're hoping like people like Chain Breakers and Lifelink and people who have like high proportions of bus users, and that those kind of people will want to join because we could use them. It would be great.
How many responses have you gotten so far?
I don't think any that I
None?
know of.
Okay. I'll
But I mean,
resend
they
it.
haven't put out, how the city puts out the,
Yeah.
thing for members, request for members for they haven't done that, like, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, that would be really, really helpful. Regina, do you know if we can resolve that issue? Because this affects disabled people as well.
I do. Thank you, Madam Chair. It's the same situation we're in with this committee. There is the director that manages that committee is missing and has been missing for 2.5 months. 2.5 years. And so, but we are interviewing this week. We had a great interview with, I think, a super great candidate the other day. So as soon as we get that director hired, that committee will come back together. And I expect this is going to be a successful and fast recruitment. So we should have someone in there in a couple of months. And the person will be, yeah. So that's what's missing. I'm so sorry for the delay, but I think we finally have a candidate.
Well, is there a way to get their request for members on Facebook? Because that is easily shared.
There is, but there's just no way to manage meetings or anything. There's nobody to staff it and manage it. And
Okay.
I suppose we could try to fill the committee without any staff. It seems a little, and if they wanted to call anyone to talk about, I guess they could call Aurora instead of a staff member.
Yeah. Yeah.
Colin would also help. He's the
Yeah, Colin Messer, yeah.
resigning chair.
Yeah, and I just am trying to think, because it doesn't take a lot for people to reach out and to apply. I know that normally it's done through staff.
Yep.
But if there's no staff, then it seems like a chairperson or someone should be able to take that over in the interim.
Okay.
And if they needed something help, they could reach out to you or someone else if there was if there was a problem. So it just seems like, yeah, I know for me, it went pretty smooth. It was just mainly Tom forwarding everything to me, but then people emailed me directly as well, so.
Right,
yeah.
but there's no Tom, right?
No,
There's
Yeah.
staff,
no, yeah.
That's the problem, but there
Yeah.
will be, so, but I can definitely, we're gonna be working on posting this vacancy from this committee, right, and getting it in all the
Yeah.
right places, and we'll just ask them to post that vacancy as well.
Okay.
Well,
very
we
cool.
have 5.
Yeah, there's
Wow.
5. Yeah,
So,
Well,
yeah.
and the timing might be good if we get the committee filled up and then the staff all in the place at the same time, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. that might
rock and
work.
roll.
and Aurora, I will reach out again to Chainbreaker. I forwarded it to a chair, to a person, not the chair, but a person on their board.
I think
Um,
they also, I mean, I think they're already interested. They're talking among
Yeah.
themselves who they want to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I'll remind them to reach
Okay.
out, so.
Well,
Thank you.
we need the announcement. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nobody to, I mean, there's no official announcement.
Right. Okay, fingers crossed that we figure this out for both of us. Are there any other subcommittee reports? No, okay. Next is 9 matters from staff. Regina?
Yes.
Thank
Chair
you, Madam
Gish.
Chair. Oh, let's see, were you gonna talk, Kelowna? Go right ahead, sorry.
Okay. Yes, Chair Gish, a link to the video recording of this meeting will be added to the meeting minutes for this meeting.
Thank you. And Regina, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Chair Gish, we noticed that the next meeting of this committee is on July 5th.
Mhm.
And that's a super tricky day to manage because it's going to be after like a 4-day weekend and it's not very far away. And we were wondering if we might want to, just for the committee's consideration, to cancel that meeting because of the date being tricky. And I think that was all I had. That's it.
Is there a way that we could hold it before July 4th? So that we would have a meeting, because we have to have a meeting, especially for the event, for the July
Right.
event.
Well, maybe we
So-
should just keep it where it is and we'll just get ready early.
Yeah, we can do
Okay.
that. I can, because it'll be a team of us anyway, so it won't be on me.
Okay, that's good.
So yeah, if that's okay, yeah.
Were there any other issues, Helona, with the July 5th?
No, just that I would have to do everything remotely. So
Oh,
if we certainly can get everything ready, then that would be better.
because
Yeah, okay.
you're gone what dates?
I will be out of town June 29th through July 5th.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I won't be here for the meeting. That's the only thing, is I won't be able to attend the meeting on July 5th.
Okay.
I can certainly, work on the minutes and everything else, but there won't be anyone available to do any kind of roll call or meeting vote recording.
I can do those two things.
Okay,
Do it for
yeah,
Public
and
Works
then I can
Utilities.
just grab everything off of the transcript and the video.
As
So,
long as we get the, so we should be targeting having the agenda done by like the 28th of June, right?
That's fine, yeah.
Okay.
I could probably
super
even get it
duper.
earlier than then, yeah.
Thank
that's
you
fine.
so much.
great, thank you.
And then matters from the committee, if there's anything to add. The committee. So if there's nothing more to add, our next meeting is July 5th, 2023 from 3 to 5 p.m. Via Zoom. And if there's nothing more, then we are adjourned at 5:04 p.m. Yay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thanks,
Great
everyone.
meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Have a great
Thank
week.
you, Helona. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.